we want to do a monohybrid cross. So let's say that we have the rabbit example. So let's say that in rabbits, a capital B is the gene for brown fur. And because it is that capital B, that tells us that this is dominant. And then let's say that a lowercase b is the gene for white fur. Okay, so now let's say that I want to cross two heterozygous rabbits. Remember, heterozygous means that they have two different alleles for the trait. So that would be a big B, little b, crossed with another big B, little b. So heterozygous, we have a dominant allele and a recessive allele for both parents. So let's look at how we would set up this Punnett square. And draw it nice and big. So this is what we call a monohybrid cross. And it's called a monohybrid cross because we're only crossing one trait in this instance. So what we're going to do is we're going to put our parents on our Punnett square first. So we're going to put one parent across the top. Now, remember, these alleles are going to separate from each other, just like they did in meiosis. So we would have the dominant allele, and then we would have the recessive allele. We're going to put the other parent down on this side here. And again, these alleles separate independently, so we would have dominant and recessive. All right? So now I'm just going to do my cross, and basically I'm just filling in the grid here. So on my first square, I'm going to take, I have a dominant allele, and I have a recessive, I have a dominant allele and I have another dominant allele. And so this possible offspring is a big B and a big B. Then for this grid, I'm going to take this dominant allele and this recessive allele. And this is the possible outcome that I get. I do the same thing down in this grid. Again, now we typically write the dominant allele first. And that makes sense, right? Because dominant is the one that's going to cover up, or it's going to go first. So you wouldn't see this written backwards with the little b first. And then finally down here in this last grid, we've got a recessive and a recessive. So little b, little b. And that is how we work a monohybrid cross.